no one has gone before.
Boom, bitch! That's what I'm talking about right there on that boom!
Lieutenant!
Sorry?
Egotastic FunTime.
Hey gang, I'm JP and welcome back to Talking The Orville on Egotastic FunTime. Today we're going to have a great time talking about one of the biggest questions that I hear most of all when talking about the Orville. Does Star Trek exist in the Orville universe? And the answer to that question is unequivocally, yeah, it does. Didn't you read the title of this video? I told you right there. Star Trek does exist in the Orville universe.
Cool. Cool.
Okay, that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about today, and I talked about it. Now, you guys probably want proof or something like that. That means I'm gonna have to do so much more editing on this video. Okay, fine. Since its debut last year, Star Trek fans all over the globe have fallen in love with the Orville. From its optimistic view of the future, to social commentary on issues that we deal with on a daily basis, to the bright uniforms and technology and appearances from Trek alumni, both in front of and behind the camera. The Orville has been filling the large hole left behind by 90s Star Trek and all of its glory.
Now entering glory hole.
No, Bortus,
Sir?
it's fine, forget it.
Before its launch, the Orville was touted as being a Star Trek-style comedic parody along the lines of Galaxy Quest, and eager fans of Seth MacFarlane were surprised to find out that the description couldn't have been further from the truth. Yes, the Orville has its share of dick jokes and one-liners, but otherwise, it's a serious homage to 90s Trek and Gene Roddenberry's vision. It feels like Star Trek, it looks like Star Trek, and even though it isn't Star Trek, it's totally Star Trek. The Orville takes place 400 years in Earth's future, and though technology is as advanced as you would imagine it would be, people are still people. That's one of the main reasons the Orville has gained such a huge sci-fi fan base in such a short period of time. People feel like they could serve aboard this ship and get along with its crew. But how does Star Trek actually exist in the Orville universe? That's easy. Even though there's no references directly to Star Trek at all in the show, there's plenty of examples of why it definitely exists as the TV show we all know and love in the world of the Orville. Yes, Ed Mercer and the crew and every character on the show, well, maybe not the Krill, but they all are aware of Star Trek, and here are some examples of how I know this. My first example, Star Wars exists in the Orville universe. In Season 1, Episode 2, Command Performance, Alara seeks the advice of Dr. Finn when she is unexpectedly put in charge of the ship by Ed. Finn says,
I'm not going to whisper the right answers in your ear, but I'll try to be your Obi-Wan however I can. My what? Never mind.
Obi-Wan? Claire said Obi-Wan, which means Claire has seen Star Wars. Do you think for a second that the Orville resides in a universe where Star Wars exists, but Star Trek doesn't? Who in their right mind would ever want to live in a bastard universe like that? A universe that has Star Wars and not Star Trek is how you end up with shows like this.
Every moment is a test. And everywhere I turn, there's fear. Can you continue to pretend to be one of them? Even as little by little, it kills the person you really are.
It's pretty obvious everyone on that show has never heard of Star Trek. Example numero dos. In the episode Priya, guest starring my ex-girlfriend Charlize Theron, we were only together for a couple of months. I mean, we knew it wasn't going to last. I mean, I got a lot of love to give, and it's just unfair to limit that love to just one person, you know? The episode begins with the bridge crew letting loose a little bit, having a bonding moment while watching an old rerun of Seinfeld. This is when we learn that Seinfeld exists in the Orville universe. But then I remembered one of the episodes of Seinfeld where George and Jerry are discussing the Wrath of Khan.
Spock dies, they wrap him up in a towel, and they shoot him out the bowels of the ship in that big sunglasses case.
That's a hell of a thing when Spock died.
Yeah.
So Star Trek exists in the Seinfeld universe, and Seinfeld exists in the Orville universe. Therefore, vis-a-vis with arithmetic, Star Trek exists in the Orville universe as well. And you might think, that's enough right there, JP. You have proven your point. But I'm not done yet, you guys. There's more. In the episode New Dimensions, when the crew is trying to figure out a way to travel into the second dimension without being crushed, Ed makes a Doctor Who reference.
More space inside than out, like Doctor Who's phone booth.
Or Oscar the Grouch's can.
Or Snoopy's doghouse, yeah.
The miracles of quantum physics.
Star Trek and Doctor Who are not strangers to each other at all. Since the 2005 Doctor Who revival began, many references to Star Trek have been made in a variety of episodes, most noteworthy being the episode where the silence first appears. Here, check it out.
Oh my God, what is that? Is that a mask? Is that a Star Trek thing? Ben, is that you? Get back from it now! Back from what, honey?
That British actress who's doing a 1940s American accent, which is very popular for British actors to do and pretend to be someone from stateside for some reason. It's kind of racist. She sees the silence standing there and says, is that a Star Trek thing? Boom! Star Trek exists in Doctor Who, and Doctor Who exists in the Orville. Therefore, Star Trek exists in the Orville. And for extra brownie points, just a few years ago, there was an official Star Trek / Doctor Who crossover event approved by the BBC and CBS, put out in comic book form. It's called Assimilation Squared, and in the 6 or 7 part series, you'll follow the Doctor as he boldly goes on an adventure with the Next Generation and original series crews. My final example of proof that Star Trek definitely exists in the Orville universe has to do with Captain Mercer's main source of inspiration on the ship. His trusty pal, Kermit the Frog, who sits right there on his desk.
That is, Kermit the Frog. I do not recognize the species.
It's an amphibious life form from Earth. A leader I admire. Always keeps his cool in a crisis, inspires greatness in his people. So what can I do for you?
Kermit the Frog exists in the Orville universe, which means the Muppets exist, which means Miss Piggy exists, which means Pigs in Space exists, and Pigs in Space is a direct spoof of Star Trek, the original series.
And now another controvertible episode of Pigs in Space!
Boom! Case closed, Your Honor. No, I'll hold myself in contempt of the court. Hey, I wonder if Yaphet also thinks it ain't easy being green.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows?
Okay, that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about today, and I talked about it. How about you? Have you found any other clues in season 1 of the Orville to prove that Star Trek exists in its universe? You can let me know by joining the conversation below. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing to my stupid show. It really does mean the world to me. And if you'd like to dive further into the examples I gave in today's episode, as well as watch the Seinfeld Wrath of Khan scene in its entirety, go right now to egotasticfuntime.com and check it out. And if you'd like to help my liver grow to a dangerous size, you can help keep my liquor cabinet full by going to the Egotastic FunTime page on Patreon and becoming a patron. The link's right down there below. I likes the sauce. I'll see you very soon, and as always, I hope all your times are egotastic fun times. Love you, bye-bye.
Egotastic fun time, we're gonna have a great time. Egotastic fun time, give me all your money. Give him all your money. You will find it funny. Just give me money. I love money. Give him all your money. Give him all your money. Give me all your money!